This video is going to be a film study look at Lamar Jackson's performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens' 18-16 loss on Sunday in Pittsburgh, dropping us 2 games behind them in the AFC North race. There's a lot of factors here that contribute to someone playing well, poorly, average at times. This is going to be a full-length film study on Lamar, but also some conversation about the Ravens' offense. I do think that Todd Monken figured some things out near the end of the game. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it took too long. And the crazy thing is some of the things that he did later in the game, he had gotten close to in the second quarter, our touchdown drive to take a 7-6 lead. Let's talk about some of the factors before we get to the film. And there's going to be a significant amount of film here. I will be upfront with you. I'm going to be brutally honest here. So if you're not looking for that as it relates to Lamar against the Steelers, then stop watching. So our offensive line was beat badly at times. I would compare our O-line to a baseball hitter who hits like 220. Now, I know nowadays people think that's okay. It's unacceptable at any level. But a 220 hitter who is able to get 33 or 35 home runs but strikes out 200 times in the process. My point is when our O-line loses, they seem to lose badly. And it's not like we lose, we ground out to second, but we get our runner, we move him over from second base to third base. But in the process, we strike out. And so that impacts Lamar's performance, obviously. The reality is he was also off target on a number of throws. 5 to 6 throws I can pinpoint in this game, and I intend to show you some of them here. If you stick around for the full-length analysis, however, near the end, and we talk about the fourth quarter, you'll see some of the ridiculous things that he did to just keep us in the game or give us an opportunity near the end. I think it was Ken from Film Study Ravens on Twitter pointed it out earlier in the week before the game against the Steelers that Lamar, if we do lose, with Lamar on the field, we lose not by much. 3 points, 5 points, at the most 7. We're always in the game with him on the field. So for me, I accept the fact that there's some throws that he didn't make on Sunday that were there. There's also sometimes the Steelers are in good coverage relationship. They're very aggressive and handsy. There's a couple of situations, I think. I'll show you one here that are obviously pass interference that should be called. Having said all that, for if you're hearing Steelers fans or fans of other teams talk about Lamar, let them talk. It's a 17-game regular season, number one. Number two, all we've got to do is get in the playoffs. We have a guy, Lamar Jackson, who, if we can protect well, is questionable at times whether we can do that, clearly against teams like the Steelers. He can keep us in football games. And I still believe that. In fact, from an offensive standpoint, I feel even better about some of the things that I think we'll be able to accomplish against this Steelers defense in the rematch and then possibly in a third go-around in the playoffs. So let's get to the film. Like I said, this will be full length, so we'll try to describe as many plays to you as possible. This is second possession, 3rd and long. Maybe we could get rid of the ball sooner here. There's really nothing that's happening for us because of the coverage that the Steelers are playing. Cover 3, they play a ton of it in these 3rd and long situations. So there's your 2 corners on the outside, your free safety in the middle of the field, 4 underneath droppers. It's 3rd and 11, I believe. So, yeah, you don't want to throw the ball quick out here to Justice Hill or Isaiah Likely, but there's nothing available. As it stands, Lamar does actually make something happen. It's incomplete to Deontay Johnson up the sideline. When you get the end zone angle, like this is not very far off. This is a really nice play by him. Credit the Steelers for putting us in 3rd and long, number one. Number two, credit them for playing a coverage that would give up possibly some underneath stuff. We chipped on Herbig to help Stanley. We chipped on Watt to help Rosengarten. Lamar has to step up. I mean, maybe we could flip the ball out a little bit earlier to Justice Hill, but he's looking in the opposite direction. Like, it's not cool at all, no matter who you're a fan of, to say, hey, we should throw the ball to this side of the field when the quarterback's read is to the opposite side. We don't know what they're told in their helmet. And so, yeah, there's guys maybe open on the other side of the field initially, but they would still have to break tackles to get the first down. It's a difficult spot to be in, 3rd and 10, against a good defense. I think it tells us what we have in Lamar, that he can still give us an opportunity to convert. In this case, it's an incomplete pass to Deontay Johnson down the field. 3rd possession, 22 personnel. I love the setup here with Likely. So look at his stance and his eyes with Watt. It's a giveaway, bait, but really it's a fake toss to Henry. And then nice peel back block here by Linderbaum to give Lamar time. This is what we need. Maybe not this exact concept, but we need something that gives Lamar time and creates an opening In this case, we're again using bait with likely, looking like he's going to pin down on Watt. Watt takes the bait. He's aggressive. He's an attack. He's an alien, is what he is. A couple of plays I'll show you later. It's truly ridiculous. But he's looking for this pin down block. So he's looking for likely to pin down, and then Ricard and Henry to go out to the boundary on the toss play. So we give him that. And Lamar is able to get a 42-yard gain to likely up top. Beautiful setup. I think we need more of that. I think we need more of Henry running the football. That's obvious. I think it's been well covered this week by multiple people, that provide analysis quicker than me or better or smarter than me. I think that getting him the football at a baseline 18, 20 times a game should be our goal. It's designed to take, especially against teams like this, the Steelers, it's designed to take pressure off of Lamar. And when I say take pressure off of him, I don't mean that he can't handle the pressure. Look at what he's done in the last 4 or 5 years. He's oftentimes asked to do execute an insane amount of concepts from a 3, 4, 5 play sequence in a row. When we say take pressure off, what we mean is tighten up our game script such that it's not so reliant on Lamar being spectacular. On this day against the Steelers, he was not. He didn't play well. It's okay to admit that. That's the reason why we have Derrick Henry, and that's what makes me, and probably you, so pissed off that we didn't utilize Derrick Henry in an appropriate manner. Am I saying we were running the ball well against the Steelers all the time? No. They're a really good defense, and they get in the way, and they try to engage, or they try to disrupt all of that. I love this setup. Bunch to one side out of 11 personnel, Henry and the tight end to the other. To me, that is something we can go to multiple times against this team. It's the wheel to Deontay Johnson. It's a 2nd and 6 after Henry's run for 4 yards. This is, of course, Justin Tucker's first missed field goal on our 3rd possession. In my opinion, I understand the play call. I like the design. I'm not sure I like it when we're in this position on the field. I've covered that ad nauseum, in my reaction video, and then in some film study stuff that I put out yesterday. We're focusing on the offense here, Lamar's performance. I think this ball is thrown too far wide to the sideline. I get it. Charles Davis said, hey, as a receiver, you've got to run this route more away from the sideline to give your quarterback an opportunity. I get that, and I'm not saying it's not a valid point. Still, nonetheless, this ball was thrown too far in this direction, regardless of where he is. And I get it. You're trying to keep the ball away from the safety from a horizontal standpoint. You're trying to keep the ball away from the safety, and you're trying to beat that guy vertically, which is what Deontay Johnson appears to have done, even if it's a minuscule win. In my opinion, this ball was thrown 1.5 yards too wide out. If we want to beat these type of defenses, we have to put some of these throws in better position. It's okay for us to say that. I understand you may have a different opinion and want to focus on offensive line or other issues. I'm focusing on Lamar, and in my opinion, that throw's got to be better. Or perhaps you want to say it could be better. So the very next play, we've gone 12 personnel. Interesting that we've got Keaton Mitchell in the game here. And this is going to be a slot fade to Zay Flowers against Porter. They were matching him up. I'd like to see change of direction stuff with Zay against Porter. I think the agility advantage that he has is pretty significant. Obviously, if we're looking in this direction, we've got Keaton wide open. But again, it's ridiculous to evaluate quarterbacks and say, hey, he should throw the football there when he's looking in this direction. We don't know what he's been told in the huddle pre-snap by Monken. Hey, if they show man, throw the slot fade to Zay. I don't think Zay has won on that route as often in the last couple of years as other guys, mainly Aguilar. But, there's probably some that I'm forgetting at this time. This one, to me, in terms of the route where Flowers is, his route emanated or began from this area here. So he's not going to be over towards the sideline. That's the difference, obviously, in that wheel with Deontay Johnson, where Deontay Johnson is working up the sideline. So this ball isn't thrown as poorly, if you ask me. I think he did give Zay an opportunity to catch it. I don't know what Zay's pointing out, if he's saying he grabbed me or if he's saying I want that to be thrown more on the back shoulder. But in any case, it's a 3rd down. In my opinion, out of those 2 play calls, they disappoint me from the standpoint of we're hungry. We're going for everything and not recognizing, at this point in time, we have a field goal kicker that's not reliable, and we should get him into range before we start trying to score. In these types of games, if we're playing defenses that we think we're going to overwhelm or just blow out, cool. If you want to go for it all, be very hungry, I get it. I think we need points against teams like the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Bills in a playoff rematch. That's my opinion. I get it. People have a different perspective in the quote modern game. Fourth possession here, man. This is just Herbig is just walking Stanley back for a quarterback hit. This is the first play after our defensive stop on fourth down. So you can see Herbig against Stanley. I've got it slowed down. He's just walking him back into Lamar's lap. Essentially, we're just throwing it into the ground there to avoid a sack, some type of fumble. We helped on both sides when Watt was in the game. So I'm not sure if that means. So what I mean by that is Watt's not on the field here, and on the snap we're releasing with Justice Hill. We're not going to help against number 49, whoever that is. When Watt was on the field, we were often chipping here and chipping here. I can't prove this, and I almost don't want to say it, but it makes me wonder if we're just calling chips on both sides when he's in the game because we're not sure where he's going to line up, or we're not sure what they're running from a stunt standpoint. I noticed it on live, and then I've noticed it again on the rewatch. So I think we need more of this. This is the read option by Lamar out of 12 personnel. The Steelers have responded with their nickel defense. Herbig is going with Henry. They're trying to stop Derrick Henry. I mean, we need more of this with Lamar keeping it. And if that means that he runs for 115 against some of these tougher teams, so be it. Yeah, there's a cumulative effect of him taking hits that could have an impact the next game, particularly in the playoffs. You're trying to win 3 games or 4 games in a row for us. So you don't want him to be injured the next week. I think we got to do what we got to do to move on. I'd like to see a little bit more of this. There's a bubble attached to it with Likely. I'll show you one more time from the All-22. This is a big game. 2nd and 10 after that incompletion where Stanley gets beat. So there's a bubble attached to this with Likely, essentially an arc release, trying to maintain these 3 guys on the backside. So we've really isolated Herbig. Nice design. I think we need a little bit more of this and reading it. So I do think Lamar is reading it here. And in most cases, I'm not one of those people that says, hey, he doesn't read it. He's told what to do. That's BS. Let's say that Herbig did what the Steelers usually do and ran straight at Lamar. Look at the numbers we've got. From a hat standpoint, we've got 5 hats, offensive linemen. Henry would be 6. And then they would have 5 defenders. It would be 6 on 5 in our favor with Derrick Henry as the ball carrier. I think they're put in a lot of conflict horizontally by that formation. It's a really nice setup, in my opinion. Anything A-gun, they seem to struggle with. I'm not sure why this isn't a defensive pass interference. You're welcome to let me know if there's something I'm not recognizing. This is after Lamar's run, still 4th possession. We missed the field goal, Tucker here. I mean, this is, okay, you want to call it incidental contact. How many times are you allowed to do incidental contact where you are actually grabbing with the right hand on the opposite side? I use 720p in terms of resolution, so maybe you can't see it. But when Likely gets taken down, he gets spun this way, which is the exact side where Elliott was holding and grabbing his hip. That's pass interference. In 2024 in the NFL, that's pass interference. Hell, that's pass interference in 2014. It might not have been in 2004 or whenever the Patriots just mugged and essentially street robbed the Colts in the playoffs. But in my opinion, that would be called if that was on our defense. You're welcome to let me know that I have a victim mentality. I don't, number one. Number two, I can see the pattern when we are consistently put into conflict, or put in poor situations offensively, either by penalties called on every successful first down run play, or they are absolved of responsibility and allowed to hold increasingly as the game goes on. 3rd down after that incompletion. This is a really nice drop, cover 3 by the Steelers. I really like how they do this. They get to a cover 3. I'll pull it back and let you see it here. So there's your underneath droppers, free safety, and your 2 corners as your deep thirds players. It ends up being a pass deflected by a defensive lineman. Lamar, I think, is trying to come back over here, just maybe holding the ball a little bit too long. You'd like to see him get this out of here. It's possible he's back in his drop a little further than we wanted by design, maybe a yard and a half. But check out how they get this done with the mug look. and then Fitzpatrick. So Fitzpatrick is outside the hash. You're going to lose both of these guys here in a moment. Let me get rid of that cutout for a second. My apologies. So you can see Fitzpatrick is just sitting down. And then number 20, I think it's Sutton, he's pushing out into the flats further. I'll bring the all-22 back for you so you can see it. So they're just mugging with 6 guys, 5, 6 guys, and then dropping 2 of them out. Sounds pretty simple or straightforward, right? Well, the difference here in what they're doing is Fitzpatrick is here. 20 is dropping to the curl, the flat, outside of him. Queen is dropping to match or mirror Fitzpatrick's drop. Those two would be mirror drops. And then the flat defender on the other side is the nickel defender, the rookie Bishop, a guy who increasingly when I watch the film, I feel like we should try to get him on the field to attack. I think we want to get them in 11 personnel, whether that's get them into their nickel defense, whether that's our 11 personnel or our 12 personnel in passing situations. That looks like to me it might be a better look for us to try to attack. Moving forward here, this is the 5th possession. It's going to be a really nice completion by Lamar to Zay Flowers underneath, kind of like a levels in concept. Bateman almost in the way there. I'm not sure what that route is. I haven't seen this one from us where he gets in the way. So the way this is working out is Aguilar is running the deeper in, and then Flowers from the outside position running the underneath. So you got 2 in-breaking routes. Bateman, I don't want to say gets in the way, but it's usually not clogged up like that when we run this concept. Breaks wide open over the middle. Lamar with some time, a clean throwing platform. It's a 2nd and 7 after a 3-yard run by Henry, and we're able to pop Zay Flowers free. I think we've got to get him the ball a little bit more often. You can see direct lane for Lamar. 4-man rush with Deshaun Elliott playing man. Big gain for Flowers. Like I said, 5th possession. Moving forward, 5th possession, 2 plays later. This one's going to be incomplete to Flowers. I think this is a little bit low. It's against Porter. Maybe there's a little bit of contact here. This one doesn't press me or bother me as much as some of the other ones, like when Elliott basically pulled Isaiah Likely down. This is 2nd and 7 after another run play, and you'll get the end zone angle of this one. I think this ball's got to be thrown a little bit more out in front, but Zay, to be honest, doesn't have the reach, the length of Joey Porter Jr. I think it's thrown a little bit behind, and I think from the end zone angle, you'll see what I mean. It's a 2nd and 7. Porter is trying to be in tight coverage with him. So they're playing man against 12 personnel. So man here, and then Likely is also being matched up. They lost him for a moment, actually, between Queen and Deshaun Elliott. And this ball, I think, could have been a little bit further out in front, such that maybe Zay is able to go get it, diving low or something like that. There certainly was a lot of contact. Great challenge by Porter on that play. We're going to move to the 6th possession. This is after a hold on a 1st down run play. Really nice design. This is another matchup that I think, maybe we have to go to against this team. Going to be a deep out, almost a sail concept a little bit by Andrews. Again, it's a 1st and 20. So you've got what in effect works like a clear out route with Flowers occupying that corner, and then Andrews running onto that open space. I thought he beat Fitzpatrick, I believe, twice in man. Maybe it was 3 times where Lamar was able to connect with him. I'll slow down the end zone angle a little bit so you can see the angle of the throw. And if it's all frame, I'll move it over so you guys can see it. Really nice design, if you ask me. If this is Flowers. Flowers' foot is, I guess it's actually not visible for you guys. It's right there. And so he was able to occupy or pull that corner out of there. In effect, a clear out route. Andrews, big gain versus Fitzpatrick and man. Still 6th possession. It's a 2nd and 10. Pass incomplete to Andrews against another version of cover 3. So underneath droppers here, deep thirds. Charles Davis incorrectly identified it as Deshaun Elliott. It's the corner up there, not Elliott. Lamar, I think, look, when you get the end zone angle, you'll see this is not an easy throw. It looks like it looked like a little bit live. I don't think it nearly resembles the angle here from the all-22. You've got the corner converging from outside in, and underneath you've got Queen. Lamar just can't flip this thing out there. Yeah, it's thrown over Andrews. This is the one that I talked about in the reaction video where I think as he's throwing, like literally in his motion, so before I paused it right here, I think Lamar is recognizing, okay, the window for this is it doesn't look tight, and if you're a Steelers fan or someone from another other fan base, and you think I'm making excuses, cool. I think that he recognized in the middle of his throwing motion that the corner was breaking on it, and so he couldn't just flip that thing over the top of Queen without any velocity on it. Basically, this I would say is a situation where he's being risk averse, even though it's a 2nd and 10. I'm pretty free and open and honest when I think he missed throws for being a Lamar Jackson fan and knowing that a lot of Ravens fans aren't going to enjoy me saying that. So when I tell you that I don't think this is one of them, hopefully you believe it. Eighth possession here moving forward. And what's interesting here is the Ravens are in 20 personnel against the Steelers' base. So they've got their base defense on. Why? Because we've got Ricard and Henry on the field. So they're not treating this like 11 personnel at all. They're treating it like 21, except we have 3 receivers on the field. So I think there's something to be said for that, how we can maybe accomplish things against them. Got to give Monken credit here on this particular possession. I believe this is the touchdown drive that we have late in the second quarter. I could be wrong. So you can see you've got Aguilar and Ricard in mirrored slot tight end positions. They are clearly in their base with Herbig, Watt, and then 2 inside linebackers along with 3 interior D tackles. We had trouble with these 4 eyes. This is not really a 4 eye. This is a 4 a head up. Maybe you could call that a 4 eye, fine. But there's times where those guys are another 3 or 4 inches further inside. So instead of their helmet being here, the helmet is like here. Not necessarily a 3 technique, but a 4 eye. We had difficulty with those, particularly Rosengarten on the backside of run concepts. But against their nickel defense, 20 personnel play action, you can see the seams that are open up. Sure enough, that's exactly where Bateman fits. I think 20 personnel might be the sweet spot for us, vacillating between that and 11. Get that nickel defense on the field, simplistically run the football against it, keep their base defense on the field with 3 receivers, and throw the ball like we just did. And that's exactly what Todd Monken did on this 8th possession. Very next play, we've got 11 personnel now, so 3 receivers, and instead of Ricard, a tight end. This is likely. Jet with Flowers, snap the ball. Lamar, that little like handbag fake that he does on the jet, and then we just gouged him on this. Great cut by Henry. I think 31 yards. It's an exceptional tackle by Minkah Fitzpatrick, saving a touchdown quite clearly. Out of 11 personnel, they have kept their base defense on the field here. You can see 2 inside backers. So very unusual to see that from an NFL standpoint. You don't normally get 11 personnel. You don't normally get base defense against 11 personnel. One of the instances, you got to give credit to Rosengarten here. He's able to dig out of here, essentially scoop this 4 eye on the backside. Scoop is a backside block. So he's able to get his head, his shoulders, the framework of his body to the play side, cut off this 4 eye defensive tackle. Likely, and the motion has widened up and occupied TJ Watt. Additional to that, Patrick Queen is going with it. And the one of the safeties. Really unusual, man, to see them gouged like this. I would be interested. You guys know I like the jet dive. I've talked about that, multiple times so far this year. I really like that it against their defense. It allows us to go with a combo on the nose if we can deal with that 4 eye on the backside. I'm talking about what Rosengarten did here. So that to me would help Falele. And another thing. You don't want to do this by much, but if we're going to run it to this side, we can tighten his alignment up a little bit, not by much. You're talking about maybe 2 or 3 inches, tighten his alignment up. I don't know that I can necessarily prove to you that his alignment is tighter here. I suspect that it is, but can't really tell. We do have a right-handed center who has his left arm free, so that helps Linderbaum try to get to this side, combo up, work up. A Landon Roberts 50 is really on an island. Rosengarten peels back, basically defeats 99 twice. It's a wonderful concept. Jet dive creates horizontal conflict, also creates vertical conflict with the running back, and then finally the play action element of it. I'd like to see more of it. I know I've talked about it a lot in the last probably 12 weeks. But to me, it's a concept that alleviates responsibility from Lamar, removes pressure from his plate, and still gives us verifiable results and something that can be repeated offensively. 8th possession here still, and this is going to be a cover 3 beater out of 22 personnel. We're getting their base defense on the field, and then likely is 3 to the boundary. So you've got Kolar, likely, and the running back to the boundary. Normally we like snag flat, so we like a flat route, a snag concept with the outside receiver, and then we like a corner route with the tight end, in this case Kolar. Well, this time we do get Justice Hill out into the flats. What I really like about this setup is it allows Ricard to help out on Watt to the right-hand side. So perfectly balanced, if you ask me. 22 personnel, putting 3 to the boundary, I think is an option against this team, against their base defense. Kolar widening up, running up the bottom of the numbers, likely running and then sitting because I think he's reading the corner. Flat defender put in a tremendous amount of conflict because Justice Hill is going underneath. There's likely wide open for Lamar to hit him. I would say it's a cover 3 beater against 22 personnel. Once we see the strong safety rolled up to the field, it's Deshaun Elliott who just went off screen for you. My apologies. It's the same play, end zone angle. Deshaun Elliott goes to the field where Ricard is. Once we see that, we know the only guy that's going to cover the boundary side flats is the outside linebacker and or Patrick Queen, the boundary side inside linebacker. Queen sits as a hook to curl player. Kolar clears that, and Lamar knows exactly where to go. Theoretically, we also had Justice Hill underneath on the zig route. Henry was able to score, I think, 2 plays later. Going to move to the third quarter, some of the things that went poorly during that time period. This is 2nd and 10, and I like the setup for what we possibly have against man. They match this from a motion perspective, so here and here. And man, well, first of all, likely is also breaking open over the middle, so he's able to make himself available. But if we're able to keep our footing and get this ball out to Justice Hill before Deshaun Elliott gets there, we've got an opportunity for a play. There's things out there against this defense. Don't think it's fine to be pissed off and upset about the loss as a Ravens fan, but don't think there aren't things on film, I should say, that the Ravens have available to them. This is one of them. Lamar, unfortunately, is near the logo in the middle of the field and slips, whatever that issue is. I have no idea. It's just crazy. The best athlete on the field, or one of them. I mean, two complete aliens in this football game, Lamar Jackson and TJ Watt. Lamar just happens to fall down. Next play, this is third quarter again. We're down 12-7 at this point. I think he's holding the ball too long. This is a situation where Andrews is going to chip and then work his way across. Justice Hill is going to end up in this area here. I think on a 3rd and 10. Now, Tucker converts the field goal, so that's great. I think we got to get rid of this ball. To me, this ball's got to be out sooner. And I understand people are going to say, well, Coach, he's going to catch this ball in this area, and this guy are going to make the tackle. Yep, I agree. Sometimes you have to take your medicine, and holding the ball too long, in my opinion, puts us at risk. There's times where our offensive line doesn't do a good job. There's also times where Lamar holds the ball too long. Those have not occurred very often in 2024 at all. They didn't occur a whole lot in 2023 either. They used to occur a lot more often before Todd Monken got here. This is one of them where, in my opinion, we've either got to get the ball out now, already be on its way out, or try to stick a throw in the middle of the field between these two defenders here, which is not exactly what I would like to see occur. Otherwise, outside of those two things, the ball's got to be out sooner. And in my opinion, we're not in the situation we're in at times when it's 3rd and long. But we've almost already lost the series or sequence of plays if it's 3rd and long against the Steelers defense. They play high-quality defense in those situations. Moving forward, 3rd quarter, this is the potential game-tying drive. Bunch B, potential go-ahead drive, excuse me. I'd like to see us get a little bit of a bigger piece of Wilson here. This ball also, I understand you may not disagree with me. This ball brings the linebacker back into play. In my opinion, this ball's got to be in this area here to beat the linebacker upfield. It's a ridiculous play by Peyton Wilson to be able to get the interception. I still don't know, whether I agree with it or not. I have no idea. I really don't care. Someone in our Discord said it was like voodoo magic that he was able to pull this out of here. It's been a great concept for us. I'd like to see us run it again. I'd like to see us go right back at the guy again. Peyton Wilson, extremely athletic. Clearly, I think that ball could be put in a better location. It's not a bad throw. Justice Hill's got it in his breadbasket, but I think it could be better. Instead of Justice Hill having to turn around and catch it, I think it's going to be difficult for me to draw it from this end zone angle. I think that ball could be thrown another 1.5 yards, maybe 2 yards down the field, such that it gives Justice Hill an opportunity to get it. But look, the reality is, how many times have you seen inside linebackers or anyone make a play like that when it's very rare for them to be able to make a play like that when their back is turned and the ball end up in their control, theoretically. So the Steelers are able to get a field goal out of that one, and this is the potential game-tying drive. This is a Tampa 2, and I want to show this because they almost seem to call their coverages in sequences. So Tampa 2 with the Mike linebacker getting vertical, half-field safety, corners in the flats. This is Lamar's ridiculous scramble that unfortunately hits Zay Flowers in the chest up here. Lamar escapes pressure, and I'll show you the end zone angle just so you can get a little bit more appreciation of it. They almost seem to call their coverages in sequences. So it's almost like I've seen teams do this before. Hold their cover 2 until the 3rd quarter. Hold their cover 3 until the 2nd quarter. So that you as an offensive coordinator are like, what the heck's going on? They're not calling the same coverages in the same situations. And the reason why I mention that is check out the cover 2 they're going to play here in a moment, or invert Tampa 2 they're going to play here in a moment. Look, this is a ridiculous play by Lamar. To be able to get this ball here to Zay down the field, really unfortunate for that young man, Zay Flowers, and for us, the Ravens team and Ravens fan base, that we weren't able to get anything done. But 2 plays later, 3rd and 10, Bateman going to be complete on essentially a shield-in concept. And this is also a Tampa 2. So you've got a corner. Well, it's not actually a corner. Corner in the flats, running a vertical. They had not shown this pretty much the whole game, to my knowledge, that I had categorized already. So it's interesting that they went to this Tampa 2 on the same possession, perhaps recognizing, hey, the Ravens are going to be in pass hurry mode, so we want to prevent anything that's a big pass play. So how did they do it? Check out what they do with Sutton, and then this corner up here, and then also I believe this is Fitzpatrick, who's very versatile. Clearly, he plays all over the field post-snap. So he's dropping down to the hash. You've got one hash defender here, a hash defender here, middle of the field, 3rd player, even though it's Tampa 2. So they're playing an invert Tampa 2, in my opinion. Typical Tampa 2 down here, and then inverted Tampa 2 up to the top side. It didn't matter from the standpoint of what Lamar saw. He gets it out there to Bateman. Solid catch with contact, able to get the first down. Same play, end zone angle. You don't necessarily get an idea of the coverage here. You just know that Fitzpatrick is, even though he's playing the hash, he's looking to the trips on the opposite side. I think that's one of the things they're safeguarding against by dropping him down on the hash, is allowing him to look to the trip side and play any crossers or deep crossers. Complete to Likely. Now, this is an interesting point that I want to bring up about 11 personnel for us. We lined up initially with Likely to the top side up here and the 3rd receiver to the downside. But then we switched it. And when we switched it, they switched their nickel defender. I talked about this in one of the preview videos, an inversion of 11 personnel. So basically Likely to the field, and the third wide receiver to the boundary. And we did it 3 times on this final drive. When I say that I think Todd Monken may have, quote, figured some things out, I don't mean their whole defense. He just may have figured some things out about how to attack their nickel, how to put them in unfamiliar situations that they're not used to. You can see these guys are pissed off at each other after the snap. Peyton Wilson is normally the boundary side inside linebacker out of their nickel defense with the nickel Bishop on the other side. Misread on an RPO here, I think, by Lamar, if he is in fact reading it, ends up being goes down as a sack. I think you got to give this football. This is a give to me if we're reading it at all. Nothing about Preston Smith's reaction here indicates to me that we should be keeping this. You can see he is in no position to run down Justice Hill from behind, and then Lamar has to keep it. I think he misread this at least twice in the game, unless one of the situations is us calling it pre-snap by Todd Monken. Another chip, and it's a star concept against cover 3 underneath to Justice Hill, complete, easy, wide open against that cover 3, 6-yard gain on a 2nd and 10. Insane play on another RPO look by Lamar. Downfield to Aguilar. I don't think this is the design of the play. It's a ridiculous play by Lamar to make and for Aguilar to convert the catch. Unfortunately, it didn't count because we had linemen downfield. Yes, we actually did have linemen downfield. The defensive coordinator side of me thinks that it should be called. I would like to see it called consistently across the entire NFL universe, and right now I don't think it is. That created a 3rd and 9. Unbelievable play by Lamar to Justice Hill, in my opinion, to be able to. They have a missed assignment. It's the dime linebacker, Sutton, out of their mug look. They're matching up man, and Justice Hill is going to work all the way back across. Once Lamar sneaks out of here, it's too much eye candy for Sutton. He sees Lamar. They're trying to contain him, and Lamar finds him. It's 22 yards. It's absolutely ridiculous that we have a guy who can make this play on a day where I would say Lamar played his C-level game, C-plus game maybe, based upon what he can do. Now, if we want to compare it to his 2024 performances, this is a D game for Lamar. I don't really care about the grade averages. I don't. My point is Lamar can play a whole lot better, but even despite that, here we are with less than 2 minutes left in the game, and we're making plays against their defense. Lamar can wear people out. It hasn't happened against the Steelers team. It may not happen in 2024, but he can do it. Again, we've inverted out of 11 personnel. So the nickel defender is now down to the boundary, tight end to the field. So they are forced to roll the strong safety, in this case Elliott, down. Quick completion to Tylan Wallace. I would like to see us go at 31 a little bit more often in the pass game, particularly into the boundary. Touchdown to Flowers off play action out of 12 personnel. Lamar got rolling here. Yes. Does he play better out of hurry up sometimes? Yep, I agree. I think he does. I'd like to see us use hurry up. Would I like to see us use hurry up sometimes? Yes and no. The Steelers possessed the football for 13 minutes longer than we did in this game. And in my opinion, that was a factor. That was a factor for us being in a hurry-up mode at times, rushing things, trying to make big plays, hungry mode, I should say. I shouldn't have referred to it as hurry-up mode. Being too hungry, trying to get too much too soon. If we play them again in Baltimore, we play very well offensively, and the defense provides the performance they did in Pittsburgh on Sunday, I still think we're probably looking at a 27-17 game, best case scenario, because they're going to compete. It's going to be a Ravens-Steelers matchup. I'm looking forward to it. I wish they played each other again next week because it's fun to watch. It's certainly frustrating when we lose, but I think it's a growth opportunity. A couple of guys in our Discord mentioned it. They said, we got better after the Week 5 loss last year to the Steelers. Hopefully that occurs here in 2024. If you didn't like long-form content, you probably aren't listening this long, but you feel free to give me feedback on it. I think that it's an amazing blessing to be able to compete and be in games like this on the road against good football teams that nonetheless are capped from a talent standpoint, in my opinion. We have an asset, Lamar Jackson, that most other teams don't have. The Chiefs do. The Bills do. The Eagles do to an extent. But Lamar is a guy that can keep us in games even when we're struggling, even when he's not performing to his standard. In any case, you guys let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. certainly a lot longer than I normally do. I thought it was warranted to give credit to Lamar and Todd Monken for figuring some things out later in the game, being able to put the Steelers in different horizontal conflict out of 11 personnel, but also being able to battle back from a difficult start in the first half. I think we got stopped on our first 5 possessions. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at Lamar Jackson's performance in the Week 11 loss to the Steelers, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.